Welcome to RoxTalks. My name is Roxanne Wilson, and it's Wedding Wednesday. And I'm very excited to have my first guest on Wedding Wednesday. Her name is Laura Chumbley. I knew her before she was Chumbley, just I want the record to state. I think it's really funny how you meet different people. Lauren is with Eclipse Event Co, which is the wedding and event company extraordinaire in Austin, Texas, and Orange County, because I'm their Orange County person. But Lauren and I met through church. Then we met again when I was doing radio, and she was a big event coordinator for a large company. And then one day walking down the street, I was like, hey, Lauren. I literally ran. That's what you do in Texas. You run into people on the street. And I'm like, if ever you need help with weddings, I've done a lot of events, and I love the wedding planner. I did say that to her. And I loved J-Lo and the wedding planner, which I just, whatever. Now I'm like, did I really say that? I'm like, well, let me know. And I should have known, because Lauren has always been a go-getter. She is on it. If ever you have a chance to work with her, you want to. That the next thing I knew I was actually coordinating weddings.
It's what you wanted. It's what you wanted. Yeah.
So hi, Lauren. Thank you for being here.
Of course. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So first of all, tell us, how did you get into the wedding space?
So I didn't want to be like J-Lo. I actually wanted to be like Gwyneth Paltrow. If you ever saw that movie, Sliding Doors.
Yes. Was she a wedding planner?
She was a PR professional. She was in public relations. But what she was doing was like having launch events and doing all these fun things. And I was like, I want to do events. And then, so I saw that movie in high school, and I stayed the track. I knew I wanted to major in public relations, and I did. And then I knew I wanted to do events. And so it just turned into weddings, because I loved weddings. That they were pretty, that they were fun. And then the longer I've been in it, and especially in the different phases of my life, there's just so much more that I appreciate being able to be a part of someone's inner circle, someone's circle of trust. And it just means more and more the older I get. And so I thought I would like weddings less and less as I get into my mid to late 30s, but I'm still enjoying all of it. You
do light up too, and you're like, and then you'll go, at my wedding, and you light up like it was yesterday.
It was only 7 years ago, but then I have to clarify, I am only still in my mid-30s, so.
That's true, yes.
Not in the late 30 comment.
Well, I want to talk to you more about weddings, but I have actually come in contact lately with a lot of younger than I am, younger than you are, women who are really interested in getting into the event space, but they don't know how to start. So can you speak to that, and what do you recommend that they do?
I don't recommend emailing someone and be like, how do I get into events? I recommend doing the work on your end. I never once said, how do I get into events? So the story of how I very, very first started, which I guess would have answered your last question, is I worked at Ann Taylor. So I was working retail, and the person was writing with a check, and I said, can I see your ID? And she goes, oh, actually it's my business check. And her company was Austin Wedding Planner or something like that. And I was like, oh, I want to be a wedding planner. Oh my God, is this what you wear to the wedding? And I'm not kidding you, Roxanne. It was a pink cocktail dress. Like, why would I ever think that she would wear this beautiful pink cocktail dress as a wedding planner? And she literally laughed at me and kind of rolled her eyes. And she's like, no, here is my card. Let me know if you ever need to talk. And so I emailed her, I set up a meeting, and I took her out to coffee. Like, I just made it happen. And it wasn't like, tell me everything you do, or it wasn't over email, which when you are so, not burdened, because I'm very grateful for it, but when you're so inundated with all your work and you get this email saying, how do I become a wedding planner? I'm just like, I do not have time for you right now. But I went to school for it. Like somebody said, Jill, our friend Jill, said, when I was finishing up at University of Texas, that she teaches at ACC, the community college, for wedding and event planning. And I was like, that is how I will become an event planner. That is how I will do it. And I just did it. And then any wedding planner I met along the way, I would say, can I take you to lunch? Can I take you to coffee? Something to where it's something nice for them and I'm treating them to it, and I paid out of pocket for their time. Looking back now, I'm very grateful for those women for taking an hour out of their very busy day to talk to me more about the industry and meet everyone. So some more advice, look up your local chapter of either ILEA or NACE, where if you have an ABC, the Association of Bridal Consultants. We don't have one here in Austin, but when I was I was probably 22, 23 in that hospitality program. I joined ILEA as a student, and I just showed up to happy hour knowing no one.
And what does ILEA stand for those who don't know?
International Live Events Association. Or there's the National Association for Catering and Events. But just go to those industry events, Google them. Google is your friend, and find them and show up and meet everyone, because there's no way I would have been able to start this business with Christy and have the success that we have without spending a lot of time investing in networking. And I laugh at my dad now because he would make fun of me so much for going to networking events, which is just happy hour. But especially in this industry, and you're very well aware of that as well, it's very relationship based.
It really is.
And you need to cultivate those relationships, and that's how you turn into a successful business owner, or you get hired.
I love that. That's such great advice. And I will second the fact that I'd much prefer spending an hour to talk to someone than actually write an email to try and explain to them how to become a wedding planner. So in all actuality, I know we're in a world of everyone likes to text or email, but oh my gosh, in person is so much more refreshing to have that conversation.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm getting a job offer out of that. You have no idea what will come from that.
Yeah, we had a full-time planner who we just met at the ILEA happy hour, and it's a funny business, like wedding planning in particular, because it ebbs and flows with clients. But I met her at the ILEA happy hour. She gave me her business card. She's like, I want to be a wedding planner. And I was like, okay, thanks. And then literally 2 days later, we got a phone call for a wedding. We got a phone call that Wednesday, and the wedding was that Saturday. And we were like, we need an assistant. Like, you're ready to pay? And I was like, I met that girl at happy hour. And so, like, this is literally how that worked. Roxanne's going to yoga. Lauren had a coffee meeting with the client. We met, and now she's a planner and an OC. Like, that is how it works.
That's amazing. And it's true. That is actually how it works. So keep that in mind. Thank you for that. That's really good info. So let's talk about weddings, because there are a lot of people out there getting married constantly, obviously.
Yeah.
But some of the things that you mentioned, it was like you're in that trust circle, which is so exciting. As a wedding planner, you're spending a lot of time with the bride or bride and groom or more. But you also are dealing with, you're almost a counselor in some ways, wouldn't you say?
Yes. Especially this week, I would say it.
Because it can be a stressful time, right? Family is stressful. If you've ever been to a Thanksgiving dinner, it can be stressful. But what do you do? I have a couple questions that have come in. So one is, what do you do when the mother of the bride is really pushing for tradition? You must do things like, for example, have a cake. You have to have a cake. You have to do the garter and the bouquet. What do you do as a young person who's never been married before, hearing all these things, but they don't want to do it? How do you handle that?
It's funny because when I first got engaged, my friend gave me a card that says, it was a ring on it. It was just, congratulations on engagement. You're about to get a lot of advice. Here's my best piece of advice. And then I opened it up and it said, do whatever you want. And it's true. And, from our standpoint, our ideal clients are a little bit older. They're in their late 20s, their early 30s, and they're a little more sure of themselves and have just a little bit more, not to say backbone, but just the confidence to say, that is not what I want for my wedding. Mm-hmm. And so but to your example of a cake, I think there's an easy solution. Let's say the clients really want an ice cream sandwich bar. They don't like cake. They don't like traditional cake. It's just not their vibe of modern millennialness. And so get what we call a smash cake. It's like a 10-inch round cake. We have a grocery store in Texas called HEB. I literally picked one up for the bride and groom. It was $13 because they needed to have a cake because they were gifted a cake cutter and they were gifted a cake topper from family who really wanted them to have a cake. So it was maybe this big. It cost them $13. It looked really nice with all of their, what we call a heritage table, all the family wedding pictures on it, and it fit right in, and right outside was their real dessert. So there is a compromise to be had. They cut the cake. They have a picture of the cake cutting. They use the cake topper. They use the gifts, but they got what they really wanted, which was the ice cream sandwich dessert.
I love it.
So
I think
I think there's always a compromise.
What about a garter toss?
I mean, I don't think you'll ever see a parent pushing a garter toss specifically, because it can be kind of raunchy, just but if it's a bouquet toss, then you're just looking at logistics. What if the mom's pushing it because her 35-year-old daughter, is getting married? And I'm like, well, legitimately, how many single women are going to be there?
Right.
4? Cool. Let's not make it awkward. I don't think they want you to know how single they are and the fact that they are single at a wedding.
Mm-hmm.
We're not in our early 20s anymore.
Mm-hmm.
I think when they are in their early 20s, you see less, not to say headbutting, but you see less pushing on the client side because they are young and, maybe they're the first of their friends to get married and they haven't seen anything, happen, like get executed and know how it works other than when they were really little. So, my answer is there's always a compromise.
I love that. So look for the compromise and maybe not answer the question immediately, but go back without emotion and think of a compromise and kind of go from there.
Mm-hmm.
That's all the time we have this week, but be sure to check back next Wednesday when we continue our conversation with Lauren and get you some great advice from 2 wedding planners on all things weddings. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on Wedding Wednesday, please email me at roxanne@roxannewilson.com. Also, don't forget to subscribe to the channel so you can get the latest and the greatest. And please like and comment. It does so much to help the channel and get the word out. Thanks again. See you next time on RoxTalks.